A 17-year-old white kid gets stabbed through the heart at a high school track meet, and somehow, this becomes another opportunity to warn America about racism. Austin Metcalf, honor student, MVP football player, future college athlete, bled out on a field in Frisco, Texas on April 2nd, 2025. The fatal blow came after he reportedly asked another student, Carmelo Anthony, who attended a different school, to move from a team tent that wasn't his. Anthony's response, per multiple witnesses, was, "Touch me and see what happens." Then came the knife. In steps Modge Too-ray with his calculator and his unseen hand theory, eager to downplay the carnage with decimal points. According to him, the outrage over this killing is all part of a coordinated campaign by bots and right-leaning pundits hired by PR firms, real cloak and dagger stuff. Quoting Modge directly, that calculates to 0.0374% of African Americans responsible for death in my city. Astounding. A young man is dead in a pool of his own blood, and we're supposed to feel reassured because it's only 0.0374%. It's like trying to stop a stabbing with a pie chart. Watching black commentators defend a killing over a seat at a track meet just to avoid confirming race realism is wild to witness in real time. Not sad, not complicated, wild. It's victim blaming disguised as context, pushed by people terrified of what it would mean to simply say, this keeps happening and it's not random. Modge's math is emotionally satisfying for the guilty and completely meaningless for everyone else. That only 0.0374% argument, it's a shell game. Per capita exists to expose rates, to detect patterns. It tells you that relative to population size, Black Americans commit homicide at vastly higher rates than other racial groups, especially whites. That's not an opinion, that's the data Modge is pretending to dance around. Critics who bring up per capita aren't labeling anyone, they're pointing to a reality. These acts are happening disproportionately, and pretending otherwise is how you keep getting more Austin Metcalfs. Modge's entire defense is like arguing shark attacks aren't a big deal because most of the ocean is water. Comforting if you're floating in statistics, lethal if you're bleeding on a track field. Modge urges us to unify to see the unseen hand. Well, we saw it. It was clutching a black blade and plunging it into a white kid's chest. The hand wasn't hiding. The real trick is what happened after. Social media instantly flooded with talking points. White Lives Matter started trending. Conservative voices sounded alarms about media silence, and in response, defensiveness, denial, a rush to dismiss anyone who noticed as being divisive. One group cries in pain as it stabs you. Another lectures you about togetherness as you bleed. The same energy, the same lack of self-awareness, the same inability to look in the mirror without shouting oppression. Jeff Metcalf, Austin's father, asked the public not to racialize his son's death. Noble, understandable, also impossible, because the second a white kid is the victim, every institutional reflex shifts into deflection mode. Race, irrelevant, context, nuanced, coverage, muted. Meanwhile, Modge and others use the moment not to reflect, but to scold, to warn people not to generalize, to demand emotional obedience to a script that's been failing for decades. We live in a country where the first instinct after a racial killing is to make sure white people don't get the wrong idea. That instinct should terrify you. Austin Metcalf had a 4.0 GPA. He was beloved by teammates. He was going places. But more importantly, he was murdered at school by another student over a seating dispute. That fact alone should unify everyone in horror. Instead, it's just another data point for people desperate to keep a narrative alive, even if it means burying the truth next to Austin. Even his brother, his twin, watched it happen and tried to stop the bleeding. Think about that. Really think about it. What is the national takeaway? Apparently it's don't generalize, don't notice, don't ask questions, We're not talking about one incident. We're talking about a pattern, a cultural powder keg, a long list of senseless killings that keep getting explained away by people more offended by implications than by dead bodies. Per capita is how you spot the pattern. Modge's math is how you bury it. The more you demand that people ignore their instincts, ignore the data, and ignore their own lying eyes, the faster you lose them. There is no unity without truth. There is no healing without honesty. Maybe if Austin Metcalf had carried a calculator and not relied on adults to set boundaries, he could have defended himself against the coming stats lesson, but he's gone now. And some people still think the real threat is noticing.